Hello everybody, this is Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films. And that was a film strip brought to us by the fine folks at Chevrolet and via Jam Handy. We're going to watch this very short film featuring a celebrity who's going to talk about For Their Sake. Who is there? Who are they? Enjoy.
Once upon a time when I was very young and first worked in pictures, I used to get awful worried about all the troubles. I wish all the bad things in the world could turn out to be just pretending. But this is happening. It's not a make-believe flood. And these people are really and truly getting hurt. And this is honest to goodness trouble. But my mommy told me about some people who help. The American Red Cross. I'm all dressed up like one of them. Whenever there's trouble, they're right there to help people. And they give them clothes to wear. And they feed them. And doctors to make them well. And places to live. It costs a whole $1 to join. And that's an awful lot of money. But won't you please try hard to find that much? So as you can help?
I'm outside now because it's nice out, and I had to be inside to get the film strip thing to work, right? Doing it outside was just too weird. So anyways, I'm out here with carpenter bees and some other insects, and pollen is beginning, but it's not there yet. So I'm out here enjoying what I can before the pollen kicks in and my sinuses slam shut. Many of you are old enough to probably remember this. Enjoy.
They don't cool breeze. What you need?
What?
You want some wafer? Ups, downs, anything.
Yo, man, he don't want nothing.
Why don't you let the man speak for himself? Huh? Want some lewd?
Yo! Just say no.
No, man.
Why don't you get out of here, man?
I'm going.
Later. Yo, man, why don't you say no to that guy? I don't want my homeboy taking no drugs. What's wrong with you, man?
Nothing's wrong with me.
You don't have to be part of the crowd.
That way, man.
Be who you are and stand up proud. Don't say no. No. Just say no. Just say no. No. Just say no. You don't have to act like a great star. You can be a hero. Just be who you are. Just say no. No. Just say no. Just say no. You gotta do is be yourself. You got everything inside.
Hey, man, where'd Sugar go?
Have faith in yourself. Your dreams will come true. Just say no. No. Just say no. Just say no. Just say no. Just say no.
Yo, man, I'm looking all over for you. Where you been? Come on, it's a party.
Say no.
Come on.
Yeah. Just say no. gotta do is be yourself. You got everything inside of you. Have faith in yourself. Your dreams will come true. Just say no. No. Just say no. Just say no. No. Just say no. Just say no. No. Ooh, yeah. Just say no. No. Just say no. Just say no. No. Just say no. Say no. Just say no. Just say no. No. Just say no. Just say no. No, no. Just say no. Just say no.
So I was in college when the Just Say No program was going on, and it was laughable. I mean, maybe it worked. My dad was a drug educator, and prior when I was in middle school, junior high times, and yeah, the I think, I don't know, I never asked him how he felt about this program. I mean, it's all about the alternatives and peer pressure. So, Just Say No is addressing peer pressure, but I seem to remember somebody saying, no, it should be just say no, thank you. It should be polite. All right, we got some cornet films to watch. This one, it's got some flexing. This is Muscles and Bones of the Body. Enjoy.
One day, my younger brother put together a model he was proud of. It was a model of the human skeleton. He thought that I might like to see it. I was busily studying for a test when he came in. He had done a good job putting the model skeleton together. I was very interested in his model because I'd been studying the human skeleton in an anatomy course I'm taking in college. In fact, I'd been studying a drawing of the skeleton. I'd been reviewing what I knew about the skeleton. And about the muscles that are so important to the human body. My brother had some questions. Why are the muscles important? What do the bones do for the body? To answer his questions, I started with his model skeleton. It looked very much like a real human skeleton I'd been studying in medical school. The bones of this skeleton were fastened with metal to hold them in place. The skeleton is made up of bones of different sizes and shapes. There are more than 200 bones in the human skeleton. Some bones, such as those of the skull, are large. Others, such as the bones of the fingers, are smaller. Still others, such as the long bones of the upper arms, are rounded. The rib bones, or ribs, are curved and flatter in shape. The skeleton is the framework of the body, giving it support and protection. Because bones are very hard, they give all parts of the body good support and protect softer parts of the body. The bones of the skull cover the brain and protect it from damage. The ribs form a kind of cage which protects the heart, lungs, stomach, and other soft parts of the body. Another very important fact is that the position of many of the bones can be changed. Joints between bones make movement possible. The joint where bones come together at the elbow is called a hinge joint because it moves something like a hinge. The knee joint is a hinge joint. Some joints are called ball and socket joints because the rounded end of one bone fits into a cup-shaped hollow in the other, something like this. The shoulder is a ball and socket joint. This joint allows movement in many different directions. The joint between the upper leg bone and the hip bone is another ball and socket joint. Other bones are jointed to move in similar ways, at the jaw, at the fingers, and at other places in the body. But the bones cannot move themselves. This is the job of the muscles. Every time we push or pull, every time we take a step, and even when we stand still, muscles are at work in the body. The muscles which cover the skeleton look very much as they do in this model. It shows us that muscles cover the bones of the skeleton. Muscles, like bones, are of different sizes and shapes. Some muscles in the arm are long and thick. Some, such as this muscle in the neck, are thinner and flatter. Very broad muscles are found across the back of the body. These many muscles are called skeletal muscles. They work together with the bones to move the body. But because the skeleton is covered by these muscles, most of the bones can't be seen. A good way to see how skeletal muscles and bones work together is to study the muscles in the leg of a frog. This long muscle is thickest at the center and becomes thinner at each end. It moves the lower leg bone. At the ends of the muscle are tendons. A tendon is tough white tissue which attaches a muscle to a bone. A small electric current will stimulate these muscles to show how they move. When this muscle is stimulated, it tightens and pulls the lower bone in this direction. When the muscle on the opposite side is stimulated, it pulls the bone in the other direction. So muscles work in pairs to move bones in more than one direction. Skeletal muscles beneath the skin work in the same manner in our own bodies. When one set of muscles in the arm tightens, the lower arm is pulled upward. Another set of muscles, opposite the first set, pulls the arm downward. Here's a simple way to show how muscles and bones work together. We use two wooden sticks to represent bones, a hinge to act as a joint, small screw eyes to represent tendons, and steel springs to do the work of muscles. As one spring tightens, it draws one stick toward the other, working like a muscle. The opposite spring is stretched as the first spring tightens. This spring will straighten the sticks by pulling them back to their original position. This demonstration shows how skeletal muscles work in pairs to move bones. The muscles which control the movements of the bones of the body are often called voluntary muscles because we can move them whenever we wish to. The head, arms, legs. Whenever we stoop or bend, we use voluntary muscles. Another kind of muscle in the body is involuntary muscle. There is involuntary muscle in the liver, in the stomach, and in many other parts of your body. Involuntary muscles give movement to these parts of the body without our having to start or stop their motions. Involuntary muscles are sometimes called smooth muscles, and voluntary muscles, striped muscles. With the help of a microscope, we can see the many tiny thread-like in the heart. Because it is involuntary, heart muscle keeps the heart beating without our being able to start or stop its movements. Thus, the three kinds of muscles in the body, heart muscle, involuntary muscle, and voluntary muscle, have special jobs to do. Along with the bones of the skeleton, the muscles support, protect, and give movement to the body. These were some of the important things I told my brother about the muscles and bones. He remembered some of the simple rules he follows to build and maintain his muscles and bones. One rule is to eat nourishing, balanced meals with plenty of milk. Milk supplies the bones with calcium, a mineral which helps bones to grow properly and helps make them hard and strong. Plenty of sleep every night. That's another good habit which will help to build healthy bones and muscles. Exercise, especially outdoor exercise, helps to build strong muscles. The size and strength of the voluntary muscles depends a great deal upon how much and how often they're exercised. When exercising, it's always a good idea to warm up the muscles for a while, to get them ready to do heavier work. And during any activity, a rest period will help to prevent the muscles from being overworked. Healthy muscles and bones are important to a healthy body. These few simple rules will help the bones and muscles to keep the body strong and healthy.
Wow, you guys really had the comments ready for that. There were some hilarious ones in there. And, of course, some clunkers. That's the way it is. All right. Yeah, so as you know, we've been scanning a bunch of Coronet films, and so we have so many to share with you. I think there are actually some being scanned right now by my assistant, Kayshawn, while I'm outside. So at some point, maybe we'll swap. And he'll get some vitamin D, and then I will be scanning in the basement. All right, so this one is another Coronet film. This is Reading Improvements. It's vocabulary skills. Enjoy.
You might find it hard to believe that missing a word in a spelling bee could lead to the improvement of someone's vocabulary and reading ability. But that's what happened when Jack was given the word
inchoate, Jack. The inchoate plans lacked the completeness needed for success. Inchoate.
Inchoate? Inchoate. I-N-C-O-I-T?
That's not correct, Jack. Sue, inchoate.
Inchoate. I-N-C-H-O-A-T-E.
That's fine, Sue.
Jack didn't mind missing the word, but he was curious to find out how Sue happened to know it. So after class, he asked her.
I don't know. I probably read it somewhere and wrote it down.
You wrote it down?
Sure. I write down words that I don't know so I can look them up later. Don't you, Jack? Bye-bye.
Well, see ya.
Jack wasn't sure whether to believe Sue. At home that evening, as Jack got ready to do a reading assignment in science, he realized how little reading he actually did. Why didn't he read more? Because reading wasn't much fun for him. Because he usually didn't get much out of what he read.
Who am I kidding? I just don't read very well.
That was it. But why? Reading fast, as Jack usually did, He finished the paragraph quickly. He was about to go on, but he stopped and looked back at the paragraph he had just read. He really didn't have a clear idea of what it was about.
Plasma. I've heard it, but I'm not sure what it means.
Then he thought of Sue.
I write down words I don't know so I can look them up later. Don't you, Jack?
Jack went on reading, but now, not in the usual way. He began noticing words. Enzymes. He had never heard it before. Proteins. He wasn't sure of its exact meaning. Juices. He thought he knew its meaning, but it was used in a way that was new to him. Now, Jack began to understand why he didn't get much out of reading. All the words he didn't know might as well have been blacked out. For the first time, Jack realized that his reading vocabulary was poor. And then he thought of his speaking vocabulary. There were many words he used too often, such as
swell, fine, great, neat, sure, okay, kind of, you know, terrific.
Maybe it was about time he started to try out Sue's suggestion. He started a list of new words. And the first word on his list was
inchoate. I-N-C-H-O-A-T-E.
Jack practiced the pronunciation and spelling of the word to be sure he knew it. In his list, Jack included the sentence in which he had heard the word. Since inchoate had been used as an adjective, he used the definition that matched that use of the word.
Just begun, in an early stage, incomplete, undeveloped. That makes sense. The undeveloped plans, the inchoate plans, lack the completeness needed for success.
And so Jack had taken an important first step toward improving his vocabulary. Whenever he came across a word that was new or unfamiliar to him, he would look it up. But most often, Jack could tell the meaning of a word from the way it was used.
Oxidize. Without bright red blood, your cells could not burn or oxidize your food. It probably means burn, but I'll write it down anyway and check it later.
And so, Jack's list grew. Each time he read something, he would have the list nearby so he could add new words and the sentences in which they had been used. After he had finished reading, he would look up the pronunciation of the words and their accurate definitions. As Jack continued adding to his list, he began noticing something interesting about words. Technical and scientific words, such as photosynthesis, automation, and parallel, usually have one definite meaning. Parallel, 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 and often the books in which these scientific words were found had their own word lists, called glossaries. Jack found that other words, such as democracy, class, or hand, had more than one definition. A hand, hands, hand. As Jack built his list, he added new words and new ways of using familiar words. Jack's vocabulary was growing. As he added words to his vocabulary that had been meaningless to him, the ideas that these words were building became clearer. Now he began to get more out of reading than he ever had before. And reading was more enjoyable. His growing vocabulary was making the difference. But Jack discovered that simply keeping a list of words wouldn't guarantee that the words would become a permanent part of his vocabulary. He was already beginning to forget some of them. He had heard many times that you have to use new words if you want to remember them. Each time Jack added a new word to his list, he tried putting it to use as soon as he could. Most often, he used them in written work for his different classes. In English,
Contemporary, a person who belongs to the same period of time as another. Longfellow was a contemporary of Emerson.
in history,
Convene, to meet for some purpose. The First Continental Congress convened in 1774.
in science,
Synthesize, to make up by combining parts or elements. Will scientists ever be able to synthesize living matter?
in physical education,
Psychological, of the mind, mental. The 4-minute mile was for many years a psychological barrier to runners.
Jack also tried to use his new words in conversation whenever he could.
Boy, look at those blades flail the air. Flail, to beat or thrash.
I know, but he never did anything with his school, and she went up.
She's attractive, all right, but she's so loquacious. Loquacious, talkative, fond of talking.
So in this way, Jack made his new words a permanent part of his vocabulary. Many new words came through schoolwork. Often, when there was a reading assignment, Jack's teacher would put on the board a list of words that might be troublesome. Jack studied these words and checked the meanings of those he didn't know. Usually, he added these words to his vocabulary list. Jack found he could also profit by listening to other people speak.
Well, what did she say?
When she thought I wasn't looking, she gave Jane a furtive glance.
Furtive. Furtive. It sounds like it means sneaky.
Jack added many words to his vocabulary in this way and in other ways as he learned new skills for building vocabulary. And so, Jack's vocabulary grew bit by bit, and with it, his reading ability. Jack even helped build his father's vocabulary.
Marge,
Yes, dear.
here's a strange word in this editorial. In-chote. Our in-chote foreign policy. What do you think it means? It sounds like a vegetable to me.
Oh, you know it can't be a vegetable.
Let me have a look at it then. Oh, that's inchoate. It means just begun, incomplete or undeveloped.
And so Jack put his developing vocabulary to work.
My vocabulary is inchoate, but growing.
Protean. I don't know if you noticed, the film got more and more muffled and more kind of jittery, and that's because it was getting more and more warped. Basically, that suffered from some pretty bad vinegar syndrome, and so it began to shrink. And so as it gets closer to the core, sometimes it will get even more wrapped and weird. And so when it was going over the head, where the audio is sampled, it was probably off because it was shrunk, or it was out of focus because it was warped, and so that's why that happened. There you go. All right, what do we got? What time is it? Let's see. Let's go ahead and go with this. This one's from the National Archives. Making a Marine. Enjoy.
These are United States Marines. They're professional fighting men, dedicated to the defense of their country and fiercely proud of their corps and its traditions. The Marine holds a unique position and reputation in the profession of arms. One of their own, Colonel John W. Thomason, Jr., wrote of them, "You could find every sort of man from every sort of calling. There were large-boned fellows from Pacific Coast lumber camps and tall, lean Southerners who swore amazingly in gentle, drawling voices. husky farmers from the Corn Belt and youngsters who had sprung to arms from the necktie counter. Diverse people who ran curiously to type, with drilled shoulders and a bone-deep sunburn and a tolerant scorn of nearly everything on earth. The old breed of American regular regarding the service as home and war as an occupation. Today, this old breed of American regular has to function in terms of a great many new techniques. In addition to his skill at amphibious assault, he is now mastering the method of attack known as vertical envelopment. The helicopter gives him the ability to move swiftly ashore regardless of beach conditions and to come in where his enemy is not, to open the attack on terms and at the place of his own choosing. The Marine of today must be ready for any kind of fight, from a brush fire war to full-scale nuclear combat. How a Marine Corps enlistee comes to be one of these professionals, ready and able to take his place in America's defensive armory. How he comes to be a Marine. This is the story we want to tell today. There are 2 Marine Corps recruit depots, one at San Diego in California and a larger one at Parris Island, South Carolina. Training at both installations is the same and the objective the same, the making of Marines. The setting for our story is Parris Island. A busload of new recruits is arriving for training.
Your first look at Parris Island is a quick one. You move directly from the bus into the reception building. It's like the corporal said, from now on, there's no such thing as wasting time. Processing starts right off with another batch of questionnaires to fill out. But the paperwork is just about over. This is a campaign hat. It is the badge of the drill instructor.
All right, you people, look up here. Feast your eyeballs on me. I'm your drill instructor, so take a good look at me. For the next 12 weeks, you're going to see me morning, noon, and night. I'm going to be your mother, father, sister, and brother. I'm going to spend every minute making you into Marine. You make any mistakes, and I'll be right on your back. Make too many, and you won't be around this platoon very long. When I tell you to move, you'd better jump. You're going to learn courtesy and discipline as well as you know your own name. Whenever you speak to me, the first word out of your mouth had better be sir. Now get those eyeballs straight to the front. You there, boy, I said straight to the front. I don't want to see one eyeball quiver. You learn right here and now to keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut. All right? Face to the right. Follow me.
So far, all you've been given is the towel around your neck. Now you move off in formation, if you can call it a formation. Passing by the Iwo Jima statue, you can't help wondering if those guys were as full of butterflies when they started training as you are. The next thing is to shed your civilian clothes. This is where you kiss them goodbye. You can send them home or give them to the Salvation Army or burn them, but you can't keep them. That's where the towel comes in. All Marine recruits will be uniform in appearance, trim and clean. The recruit haircut does make for cleanliness and uniformity, no doubt about that. Every recruit will take a thorough shower following the haircut session. Now you're ready for a uniform. When you get that first issue of clothing, you begin to really believe you're in the Marine Corps. And you are. But you're not a Marine, not yet. They take a lot of time and care to make sure that every man's shoes fit his feet exactly. And for a good reason. A lame Marine's no good to anybody. Your gear is issued by the numbers. The sergeant explains it this way. Don't move till I say move, and when I say move, move. That's the way it's done, by the numbers. By the time you get settled down, get your barracks cleaned up 2 or 3 times, it's time for lights out. When a DI comes into the room, you will be on your feet. You can take your time stowing your gear, as long as it's not over 5 seconds. In the morning, training will start in earnest. But right now, you learn another Marine Corps tradition, evening prayer. It's silent, each man to his own. Once again, and from now on in everything, as you find out, a recruit does things by the numbers.
Stand by to hit your racks. Out of your shoes. On your racks. Move. Move! All right, get inside them. You people will be quiet. You people will go to sleep.
For 12 weeks, you'll eat, sleep, and dream Marine Corps. You'll attain a physical fitness you've probably never known. And you'll make friendships that will last as long as you live. You'll gain the same pride, self-respect, and love of the Corps that marks your DI, as you earn your place in the company of an elite body of men. Right now, however, all that's ahead of you. And today you begin in earnest. The Corps takes first things first. As you've been told once or twice, you're all fat, sloppy civilians. The physical training sessions are calculated to correct that situation and to teach you to work together. Your best seasoning and teamwork comes with close order drill. You start from scratch and there's a lot to remember. If you don't remember, your DI will take time to remind you.
Boy, you are outstanding. You know that? Yes, sir. I can't hear you. Yes, sir.
The confidence course is rightly named. As with the rest of the recruit training, it starts with easier obstacles and works gradually up through the tougher ones. Some of the final ones you don't get to until late in the training cycle, which is all right by the recruit. There's plenty to do in any one day without trying to do everything at once. Calisthenics under arms is part of the training which brings you to feel that your rifle is as much a part of you as your hands and your feet. The relationship between a Marine and his rifle is a special thing, and the recruit finds it out early. Now, as time passes and the DIs stay on your back, something begins to happen. One day you can feel that you and the others are working together smoothly, knowing what to do, doing it with precision. This is the moment, or at least one of the moments, when pride takes root and starts to grow. It's simple enough, really. There's a basic satisfaction in doing a thing well. Don't get the idea a recruit ever gets a chance to start feeling smug, though. If there's any way to satisfy a drill instructor short of absolute perfection, nobody's found it yet. Every recruit learns the rifle creed. It starts like this. This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. My rifle is my best friend. It is my life. I must master it as I must master my life. My rifle without me is useless. Without my rifle, I am useless. The Marine Corps as a whole has to be ready for amphibious operations. That goes for recruits, too. You'd be surprised how many guys don't know how to swim when they start training. but they learn before they're through. By the numbers. On Sunday, a recruit can go to the church of his choice, and he's encouraged to do it. It's a simple fact that a basic part of America's strength lies in its faith in God. And who's got so much strength he couldn't use a little more? There comes a time, finally, when you start learning to fire the weapon you've been taking such tender care of all this time. As with everything in recruit training, this goes step by step. Initial firing with the M1 is done at close range, one round at a time. This is serious business, and every man has in mind to become an expert. There's another part of the rifle creed which says, "My rifle and myself know that what counts in war is not the rounds we fire, the noise of our burst, nor the smoke that we make. We know that it is the hits that count. We will hit." Meantime, and always, the physical conditioning goes on. The fat comes off and working muscle takes its place. The instructors do what you do, and a lot more, since they do it with several groups a day. Recruit training isn't easy, but along the way you learn something very important. You learn that you can go until you can't go anymore, and then go some more. Don't get the idea recruit training is all muscle work, though. You spend plenty of time in the classroom, too, busting your skull over subjects like Marine Corps history, map reading, nuclear, biological, chemical warfare, personal hygiene, American democracy, the mechanics of weapons. One high point in the training comes when the recruits take part in a field meet. The various events are familiar, some of them. Others have a more uniquely military flavor, as you'll see. All of them are gone into with plenty of yelling and laughing and enthusiasm. Something new in the training program is bucket drill. Remember how you used to play with sand in a bucket when you were little? Forget it. Here you start off with a little sand and it feels like a ton. But before long, you can handle it okay. Whenever this happens, they add more sand. Bucket drill has all the advantages of working out with weights, plus one more. You can't wash your underwear in a barbell. To a Marine, the bayonet is part of the rifle. He learns to use it and use it aggressively. One of the tools you have to work with is a rifle-length bar, padded at both ends. It's called a pugil stick. In the first sessions, you work against a dummy, but you keep in mind what you've been taught.
That's what I like to see, a little man get out here and do something. That's all it takes. It's not how big you are, it's how good and aggressive you are. You lose control of that weapon, son, you're long gone.
Next, you put on gloves and a football helmet and pair off.
Just drop down the pitchfork blow, and then you'll have your head knocked off. Boy, all you're doing is you had your head down swinging. Swing that God-blessed blade. You feel like you want to cut somebody's head right off his shoulders. All right, come on!
At this stage, you're working with the final and roughest section of the confidence course. And every time you successfully do something you never thought you could do, just that much more confidence and assurance is the result. Since this is something you've been learning in stages from the beginning, you don't usually have too much trouble, even with the tough one. The man who completes his training over the Paris Island Confidence course may someday run into a physical obstacle for which he's not prepared, but it's not likely. If he's called on to climb, scale, swing, crawl, or slide, it won't be anything new. Of course, not everybody makes it the first time around, but they learn, and that's what it's for. In the final weeks, things seem to move faster and faster. You know now what to expect and what's expected of you, and you're better able to meet those expectations. You begin to think that maybe you're going to make it after all. The pace doesn't let up any, but that doesn't bother you like it did at first. The fact is, you're catching on. You're beginning to feel at home in the uniform of a United States Marine. Finally, the big day comes. Almost, but not quite, before you're prepared for it. The final review marks the end of recruit training, and the end of being a recruit for you. From this time on, you'll be a Marine. From the various recruit platoons receive a personal letter from the general and will take their place in the reviewing area while the rest of the men pass in review. It's been a tough and demanding 12 weeks, but the feeling of achievement is worth it. And you know that whatever happens and wherever you go from here on in, you'll never forget your days as a recruit.
For these men, this is the end of an important time in their lives as Marines. It's also only a beginning. Now they can begin to really master their profession. Advanced training is ahead, in which each one of them will learn to use virtually every weapon of modern infantry combat. After that, assignment in the Fleet Marine Force. They've weathered a rugged 12-week transition from boy to man, and they'll never be the same again. They are, as they'll be glad to tell you, United States Marines.
So you missed all the excitement. The umbrella blew off the deck. There was a small breeze and it went whoop. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. But yeah, that's what just happened while our Marines went through basic training. Yeah, that was pretty great. That film is hosted by the National Archives, and we're doing a project where we are actually pulling films or video files from their website that we are afraid that are going to be hidden and not made available, to make them available, continue to make them available. That's a sad story, but I won't go into it. Good news is that I just found out that I am going to be participating, and by me, I mean us. We are going to be participating in the Found Footage Festival's Toe Tapping Tournament 2025. And so I am going to pull together a bunch of candidates, because we're only allowed 2 candidates for the toe tapping tournament, which will be on Tuesday live in the evening. So what I'm going to do is, maybe tomorrow and Friday we'll go through and we'll watch a bunch of them and vote on which are the 2 candidates. We're not going to go through the elaborate bracket system because this is all last minute and I've got entirely too much stuff going on. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do starting tomorrow. And these were things that where you commented when we showed the film, were like, that was a great song. That's a toe tapper. So these are things that you helped us pick. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, please hit the thumbs up, please hit the like, and please subscribe. Our subscription numbers are beginning to go down. And I think that's because whatever viral film we put online is no longer viral. And so we're trying to get those numbers back up. We are still adding 25 films a day and hope to be at the 10,000 mark by next week. Maybe this weekend, I don't know. We'll see. But very much appreciate you watching and commenting. You can also donate via the Super Thanks button, which is an option in the YouTube comments, or you can also go to ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. So thanks for supporting us, and thankfully I wasn't smashed in the head by an umbrella. There's a screw that you're supposed to screw it down to the base, and for some reason I had forgotten that that's what you're supposed to do. So there you go. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We will see you tomorrow. Take care.